United, we're as strong as a mountain.
Solidarity has no borders. Workers of the world unite on May Day 2022. We have to build a mass working class movement. Today is May Day workers' holiday worldwide, and we're fighting to unite workers against war, to unite workers against union busting, for all workers in Amazon and around the world to get organized. We have to fight to build internationalism. So we're going to have some speakers here today, and following this rally we're going to be joining the contingents, the labor contingents. The ILWU is going to be marching here today with Palestinians and with other workers. We're saying that we have to unite all workers in the United States and around the world. Our enemy is not in Ukraine or Russia. Our enemy is at home. That's where our enemies are. They're the billionaires who profit from COVID. They're the billionaires who profit from poverty. They want slave labor in this country for all workers. They're trying to privatize education. They're trying to privatize public services. So we have to build solidarity and link up with workers around the world. And that's what we're here for today. We're here for building unity, for uniting workers globally. There's only one path for working people, and that's unity and solidarity and internationalism. We do not want workers in the United States pitted against workers around the world, around China, Russia. We need unity because we're fighting the same multinationals. We're fighting the same billionaires in Korea, in China, and in South Africa. So we have to unite. We have to unite with workers. And today around the world, workers are organizing around the world. They are demonstrating and protesting. They are fighting privatization. And this is what we have to do if we're going to build solidarity, if we're going to build internationalism. So we are going to have some speakers here. And we have from our first speaker is going to be from Turkey. So if the speakers can come up here, we're gonna be having some speakers. So can we have the brother from Turkey? We have a brother from Turkey who's here to talk about the struggle. Today in Turkey, workers are protesting against the attack by the Erdogan. They're trying to crush the unions. There's a mass movement developing in Turkey with inflation and fighting for workers' rights, fighting against repression, fighting against racism, systemic racism against the Kurds. So welcome, brother.
I'm so pleased to be here in what is my first American May Day. And thank you. And I brought you the greetings of my comrades and the working class of Turkey, who, especially in Istanbul, organized a huge rally today. What has been one of the biggest May Day demonstrations in last years, in what we hope will be a big step in the struggle of Turkey, working class of Turkey against the despotic regime of Erdogan, against capitalist exploration and against NATO-led imperialist aggression in our region. And well, perhaps I should have started with, excusing myself for my insufficient level of English for such an event. But I felt confident in taking the floor because I know that we, the revolutionaries, we, the militants of working class, speak all of us one and the same language. That is the language of working class struggle. That is the language of social liberation. And in this regard, I know that, be that in here in California, in Istanbul, in Paris, or in Cairo, we understand all too well each other. So that's why I felt confident in taking the floor. And comrades, perhaps we are here today, both here in California and our comrades in Istanbul, with a newly found confidence due to a wave of wildcat strikes in Turkey in a bunch of sectors by thousands and tens of thousands of workers, as well as the massive struggles of the working class here in the United States, be that the Amazon warehouse in Staten Island or the Starbucks workers. And comrades, without further ado, without keeping you for a long time, I would like to underline that these struggles, wildcat strikes in Turkey, or the struggle for unionization of Amazon warehouse in Staten Island, they showed us how the working class has been leading this struggle for social liberation and for social equality. And in that struggle, comrades, I'm certain that we should, but we will. But I'm quite certain that we will be victorious. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you, brother. And this is International Day, May 1st. Workers around the world are rallying, are protesting. Their governments are protesting, the billionaires in every country of the world, because workers are fighting globally against the attack on working people. Workers in this country, it's a rich country, yet workers live in poverty. Workers are being evicted from their homes. Workers don't even have health care. Now they've got $33 billion for war in Ukraine, but they don't have money for health care in this country. What the hell is going on? Why is the wealth going for war and war militarism? So our next speaker is going to be Brenda Barros. She is the president of the San Francisco chapter of SEIU 1021 at General Hospital. And they've been fighting privatization, they've been fighting outsourcing and union busting. So welcome, Brenda Barros.
So hello everyone, from SEIU 1021, we're glad you're here. We've been having major issues within the city, and one of our major issues is how people are treated. People make assumptions that city workers don't work hard. That is not true. People make assumption that because they pay us a fair wage, that everything is okay. But we got to tell you, there's a lot of bad behavior from management towards city workers.
Bullshit!
A lot of bad behavior from city workers.
Bullshit!
Check out the Gould report, which was requested by the city. That is an independent investigation, and you will find out that what I'm saying is true. It's fact. So we're not talking about fiction, and I'm not making it up.
No, I believe
It is fact. It is fact that if you're a black employee and you apply for a job with the city, you are 10 times less likely to be hired.
unacceptable.
Once you get hired, you're probably 20 times less likely to ever get a promotion.
Unacceptable.
We have people that have been in jobs 30 years and not been able to promote. And it has nothing to do with their skills. It has nothing to do with anything else other than the systemic racism, which we are, as a union and as workers, seriously trying to address with the city of San Francisco. We're letting them know that this is San Francisco. This is not where I was born, Macon, Georgia. And I should not be going through the same things here in San Francisco that people, when I was born, were going through in Macon, Georgia. We need to stop all this right now. So thanks everybody for coming out for May Day. Happy May Day, everybody. Labor solidarity forever. Okay.
We're talking in San Francisco, we're talking around the world, and one of the struggles going on is against the attack on the Palestinian people. And it's going on right here in San Francisco, where there's an effort to shut down the Ahmed program at San Francisco State and also get rid of Rabab Abdul-Hadi, who's the professor at the Ahmed program. And this is union busting. And this is also the corporations, the media corporations shutting down a program. So with us is Laith Ghulam, and he's going to talk. He's a graduate student. And we're here today to say end racism, end attacks on the Palestinian studies at San Francisco State. Welcome, Laith.
Hi, everyone. I'm a student at San Francisco State University in the College of Ethnic Studies. 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now, there was a silencing incident in which Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube shut down an open classroom event featuring Palestinian activists, scholars, and other community members. And what happened was the university passed the buck onto Zoom for shutting down the event, even though that they have a responsibility to protect academic freedom. And today, almost almost 2 years later, they still have not challenged Zoom's decision to shut down the event. They have worked to shut down the Ahmed Studies programs and punish the faculty involved in organizing the event. They have repeatedly broke contract agreements for Professor Abdelhadi at San Francisco State University. They have worked to shut down the program and force her out of the university. And they the university is able to veto any decisions made by the established grievance process, which has happened 2 times, pending a third. So the university is basically able to veto any decision made against it. And the president kind of has the right to do this, and the president also serves on the academic senate, which is the only way to really address these issues. And these are really labor issues that aren't being addressed because Palestine and any topics related to Palestine are excluded from any decisions around academia and are usually the exception to the rule for academic freedom. So we need to stand up to San Francisco State University. I have a petition that I would hope everyone will sign asking for President Mahoney's resignation for breaking contract and punishing Palestinian professors. Thank you.
And the California Faculty Association at San Francisco State is going to be marching, and they're going to be marching with the Palestinian supporters of Rabab and Ahmed. We have placards here. If you want to march with them, you can ask him to have some. This is an international struggle, and it's also a struggle for San Francisco workers, because the rise of racism is a serious thing in this country. The attack on Asians, the attack on immigrant workers, they blame the immigrant workers who built this country for the problems of capitalism. That's really what's happening in this country. Immigrants built this country. Immigrants built San Francisco. They built this country, and yet they get blamed. The people that really are responsible for the unemployment are the capitalists. You look at Amazon. They want to cut back and lay off workers. They have a turnover of 50%, and yet they blame the workers. The workers are not responsible for this. It's these billionaire owners who only want to make profits, and they don't care if workers die on the shop floor. Workers are dying here, like Ludwig Leota. He died because the city refused to provide PPE to him. They forced him to go to work despite his death. So our next speaker is going to talk about teachers in Iran. Welcome, Tika. And she's going to be talking about the fact that teachers in Iran face death. And we are an international movement. This is an international struggle. Solidarity with the workers of Iran, with Turkey, with workers around the world, brothers and sisters.
Thanks, Steve. Internationalist greetings for May Day. I'm Tika, and I'm here to convey a most heartfelt message to all of you from the International Emergency Campaign to free Iran's political prisoners now. The IEC, it's the IEC. Larry Everest, the writer with Revcom and Revcom.us, and the spokesperson for the IEC couldn't be here today, so I'm going to read his statement. Our campaign gives a May Day shout out to all of Iran's courageous political prisoners. We salute the tens of thousands rising up so heroically for their basic rights and humanity in the face of threats, beatings, and arrest, and even bullets. This includes those who are in the streets of Iran today, the teachers, bus drivers, refinery workers, and many others. It includes the brave people of the small town of Ya'asuj in southern Iran, who, when the Islamic Republic security goons who were trying to prevent May Day from taking place tried to seize a teacher and May Day organizer, the people freed him from their clutches. All right. The IEC represents the hope of many thousands of people from over 40 countries who have signed the emergency appeal to free Iran's political prisoners, which we have here today for you to sign. This includes Noam Chomsky, Ariel Dorfman, Gloria Steinem, Cornel West, Daniel Ellsberg, Raymond Lotta, Nobel laureates Shireen Ebadi and Jody Williams. So join with us. Sign the emergency appeal today. The lives of Iran's political prisoners hang in the balance. Our campaign was initiated in late 2020 in response to a new brutal wave of arrests, torture, and executions by the Islamic Republic that was aimed at crushing a powerful, just uprising by ordinary Iranians that rocked the country in recent years. This surge of arbitrary arrests has swept up labor activists, women's activists, human rights activists, dissident intellectuals and artists, protesters and revolutionaries, and members of religious minorities and oppressed nationalities. Many have been tortured and held in solitary confinement and denied legal rights or even medical aid as the regime attempts to force confessions, conduct sham trials. Many have been executed or have died in prison due to the Islamic Republic's medical neglect and other cruelties. As Steve mentioned, I want to especially call your attention to the case of a 65-year-old labor activist and member of the teachers union, Mehran Rauf, a British-Iranian dual citizen arrested in October 2020. He was held in solitary for 8 months, not allowed to see his lawyer until the day of his trial, then convicted of propaganda against the regime and sentenced to nearly 11 years in prison. And then recently, Britain obtained the release of 2 other dual nationals, but didn't include Mehran. Over 100 unions and organizations around the world have joined the call for his immediate and unconditional freedom. We hope you and your organizations will as well. Our campaign proceeds from the interests of humanity, not those of any government. We here in the U.S. have a special responsibility to oppose any aggression by the U.S. government on Iran, which will bring even more unbearable suffering to the Iranian people. So on this May Day, join with us in demanding to the Islamic Republic, free all political prisoners now. To the U.S. government, no threats or war moves against Iran, lift U.S. sanctions. We call on everyone who stands for justice and yearns for a better world to rally to the cause of freeing Iran's political prisoners now. So say it with me. Free Mehran Rauf, free them all. Free Mehran Rauf, free them all. Free Mehran Rauf, free them all. Thank you.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. So in San Francisco May Day, we're not just talking about American workers, we're talking about the Iranian teachers, the Iranian workers around the world who face tremendous repression. And the repression is coming here. The Nazis, the fascists, there's a rise of racism and fascism in this country. We have to unite. So our next performer is going to be Pat Fahey. He's a musician, and he's going to be talking about KIPP and charter schools. So welcome, Pat Fahey.
You know, they had a rally out in Oakland, and it was about why the teachers are on strike. You know, what are they complaining about? And it's about cutting schools and cutting teachers. Right, that's right. Okay, there you go. So they wonder, where did all the money go, right? It's almost laughably obvious. Are we doing okay? Okay. So this is a song, which side are you on? 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 Okay, let's all give a little practice on that. Ready? Can you get that singing voice out? Take a deep breath. Here we go. Good diaphragm. Which side are you on? 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 They They say in Oakland town, no neutrals now do dwell. Let's call out charter billionaires wanting public education burned to hell. Which side are you on? Can't hear ya. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Where did all the money go? Cutting teachers, closing schools. Hey, well, let's open up the books. And the charter billionaires think we're fools. They say it's low enrollment, but open up the books. There you'll see the facts of then, who's the real crooks. Which side are you on? 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 And then the KIPP schools. KIPP choose to hire non-union hacks who were unqualified to teach. A student seen as pawns and the teacher trust they breach. It's all scripted classes. Academic freedom completely done. Teach to the test is all they got. Blind to making learning fun. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Now which side are you on? And you know what? The best ideas in child development are entirely dismissed. The teacher's just a robot instructing from a canned script. Drill and kill, no math and history at all. No sense of math intrinsic of who we really are. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Let's hear it now. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Clueless billionaires have more money than they know with what to do, than to buy off politicians while kids give up on school. Then they pitting parents against KIPP teachers who have no even union rights. Public education as a market scam. No, that's why we're gonna fight. Which side are you on? 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 Where did all the money go? Cutting teachers, closing schools. Open up the books, let's see. Charter billionaires think we're fools. They say it's low enrollment, but open up the books. Then you'll see who are the real crooks. Say now, which side are you on? 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 Really loud now. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you what? On, yeah. Which side?
Which side are you on? That's the question. And charter schools, as we know, are a threat to public education. Who's supporting charter schools? John Fisher is one of them, the Fisher family, and right down here is the Gap headquarters. John Fisher and his family got a $13 million subsidy to build their headquarters here. Now, the Gap Corporation has slave labor in Bangladesh. They mistreat workers. Workers die because they don't have proper health and safety. And John Fisher and his family also own the KIPP and the charter school rocket ship. So they're busting up public education here in San Francisco at the Malcolm X Academy. His mother, Doris Fisher, and his wife, Laura Fisher, actually are suing. They're actually suing the school district to grab rooms at the Malcolm X Academy. Here's a billionaire who is actually suing the school district to privatize the school, the Malcolm X Academy in San Francisco. So how do you figure that? A billionaire who's trying to bust up a public school right here in San Francisco. That's what charter schools are. That's why we have to fight them. So thank you, brothers and sisters. So our next speaker is going to be talking about the struggle of Uber, Lyft drivers, gig workers. Welcome, Edward Escobar.
How's everybody this morning? It's International Workers' Day! International Workers' Day. We are in solidarity with everyone, every worker around the world. especially essential workers that are on the front lines against the pandemic. And yes, people are still dying. Don't believe it's not happening. People are dying. They are essential workers. They're on the front lines. They need our support, and that is what International Workers' Day is about. It's about labor in the trenches making a difference in the world. So together we can make a difference, but we need the support of the general public because we service you, and we need your support so we can continue to do the jobs that we do in the trenches.
That's right. Woo!
So, ladies and gentlemen, Steve had introduced me. My name is Edward Escobar. I am the founder of the Alliance for Independent Workers. It's a hashtag Drivers Unite movement, also hashtag Essential Workers Unite movement, and hashtag Gig Workers Unite movement. We are all in this together. We are fighting the common foe, which is the corporate exploitation of workers in the trenches. And where is the government support? We have the Department of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. When he was running for president, he came over here in front of the Uber World Headquarters and said he supported workers. Now he's heading the Department of Transportation, and he has been very quiet against Uber, Lyft, and these corporatized exploitation business models that are hurting workers. It's not just about drivers, people. This is about every citizen here, because guess what? If Uber and Lyft and these corporate tech titans of Silicon Valley do not pay their fair share, guess who's going to pay it? The taxpayers pay the bottom line corporate profits. Is that acceptable, people? No!
They got no benefits.
Not acceptable. Exactly. There are no benefits. Worse, there's no safety net. Safety net, if we don't require the corporatization models to provide the safety net for workers, guess who pays for it? The taxpayers. You guys end up funding the bottom line corporate profits of the billionaires, the multi-billion-dollar multinationals. Uber is one of them. And guess where they started? Right over here on Market Street. That's where they started. Unfortunately, the SFMTA did not do their job. Also, the CPUC did not do their job. Instead, they got in bed with these corporatized exploitationist models. We cannot allow this, people, because this is going to get worse and worse. You've seen what's happened around San Francisco. You see those funny looking vehicles with spinning devices on the tops and sides? That's AI automation, self-driving technology, people. Futuristic, progressive, right? It's going to be regressive when you're talking about severe displacement of billions of workers globally. It's not just happening here. They let the cat out of the bag here first. Then this virus spreads across the globe, people. Across the globe. You're talking about severe displacement. You saw what COVID did, right? Displacement of workers. Well, guess what's going to happen when it's permanent? Permanent displacement of workers by what? Technology. Technology, yes, can be your friend, but in this case, if it is not working together with the workers to find some solutions, some transitions, some plans for the future of work, then we're all going to fail for that. Together we will fail. Instead, together we should stand in solidarity, united as workers, as people. San Francisco is known for being progressive and liberal. I'm not seeing it, people. I'm not seeing it. We got to make things happen here. The tech titans of Silicon Valley started here. The abuses started here. The future paymasters of the world, the slave masters, are the algorithm. And they say they are not responsible. It was the algorithm that did it. They blame it on the algorithm. Okay? You heard of the song Blame It on the Rain? Okay, they're blaming it on the algorithm here. And they're saying it wasn't us, but yet they're collecting the profits. So it is them. It is them. So remember the Nazi guards in concentration camps? They said, oh, we didn't know what was going on. We weren't a part of it. Yes, you participated in the end results that led to the deaths. Poverty is the worst form of violence, people. Mahatma Gandhi said that. Poverty is the worst form of violence. You get that? Now's the time to make that difference when we stand in solidarity. And people, they push back against unions. There are all kinds of unions. There's a bureaucratic union. There's also a solidarity union. That's what we're about. Hashtag Drivers Unite. Hashtag Essential Workers Unite. Hashtag Gig Workers Unite. It doesn't have to be such a formalized structure. It has to do with solidarity. That is a global concept that we can bring together and make it happen. But people, you got to care now, because otherwise there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. So realize together, sí se puede, yes we can make a difference. Sí se puede, yes we can make a difference. Sí se puede, yes we can. Sí se puede. All right, my name is Edward Escobar. I'm the founder of the Alliance for Independent Workers. International Workers' Day in solidarity. The world will stand together or we will fall together. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. And one of the things about San Francisco is that San Francisco used to be a great place for public education. Working people have the right to a public education. But what's happening in San Francisco now is that they're trying to destroy our community college. They're laying off faculty, and they're saying that young people, immigrant kids, and seniors don't have a right to public education. So there's going to be a fight back. There is a fight back. And welcome Rick Baum, who is going to be talking about the fight to protect City College, our community college, and the efforts going on at City College.
My name is Rick Baum. I'm a part-time teacher at City College of San Francisco. And I assume a lot of you are aware that we've been having a fight for more than 10 years now. The college has been severely downsized. There's about half the faculty there that there was previously. The number of students has been cut in half. And this is not something that has happened accidentally. It's largely because of the powers in this society that have decided to downsize the school, use its property and hand it over to developers in San Francisco. And the administration at the school has gone along with this, as has the Board of Trustees, which are a bunch of Democrats elected by the people of San Francisco, but they have no interest in listening to them. The current situation is that starting last year, for the first time, they were threatening the jobs of full-time tenured faculty. And they were threatening to lay off 161 people, and in their plans, they were threatening to reduce the nursing program. I want to emphasize that because many of the things they're doing are going to lead to the premature deaths of people. I could not believe that they would actually, in terms of cuts, call for reducing a nursing program in the middle of a pandemic when we have a nursing shortage. That would be one example of the kind of horrible situation that we have at the college from the administration. This time, well, that was averted by teachers taking generally about a 10% pay cut. This time, they're threatening fewer full-time faculty, but I think they're much more serious about it. They've sent out layoff notices to 58 full-time faculty, and that will result in not only full-time faculty losing their jobs, but many part-time faculty losing their jobs, because before a full-time faculty member can get laid off, they bump out all the part-time faculty. And so there's a struggle right now to prevent this from happening, and any day now the board will probably be approving of this layoff, and that's not the end of things. There can still be a fight afterwards, but in the next week or so you'll probably be reading about the board approving of this, and I would hope that you could join us, and I would hope that you could let the Board of Trustees know that this is unacceptable to you, because we have a situation, according to the union, in which we have a surplus in the budget. that could be used so that there would not have to be any layoffs, and there would be meeting any requirements for reserves with this budget. So it's an alternative budget that unfortunately the board and the administration refused to engage and take into consideration. Instead, their approach is more austerity, which we see too much of across this country. So please help with this effort. I do want to emphasize that part-time faculty at the college have been slaughtered in recent years. More than 300 have lost their jobs in the last 2 years. Unfortunately, not much of a stink was made about that. It's only when the full-timers are being threatened with their jobs, people with tenure who expect to have a job for the rest of their lives. Now there's a lot more action around that. A good thing, but I wish it was also being applied to part-time instructors. Thank you very much, and I hope that you can help with us, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Rick. Also, there's going to be a rally at City College on Tuesday at noon. So those people who can, rally to stop the cutbacks, the layoff of faculty. You know, there's 78 billionaires in San Francisco, 78 billionaires in San Francisco, 180 billionaires in California, and they're shutting down City College. They're laying off faculty, students, laying off students at Oakland, at the Oakland Unified School District. Why are they crushing? Why are they crushing public education with all these billionaires? And the reason is the Democratic Party is controlled by the billionaires. That's who runs California. Why don't they have a capital tax to make the billionaires pay in California? All this wealth in California, and they're closing schools, particularly in black and brown communities. There was a rally in March in Oakland yesterday of students and of the SLAP, Student Schools and Labor Against Privatization. We have to build a united campaign in the United States against privatization. It's happening all over the world. It's happening in Puerto Rico. It's happening in France. It's happening in Chile. It's happening all over. So our next speaker is Ricardo Ortiz. He's a labor researcher and an active struggler in the fight to defend the Puerto Rican working class. So welcome, Ricardo Ortiz.
All right. We are here celebrating International Workers' Day. And at the same time, there is many conflicts around the world, and particularly the one in Ukraine, and where the imperialists of NATO and the decrepit state of Russia are attacking and plunging the Ukraine. NATO obviously is intervening indirectly. They are using the buffoonish regime of Zelensky, which have sold out, to the German and American corporations. Since 1991, the Ukraine has been plunged, privatized, put under economic receivership in 2014, and previously a task force of the American State Department, the Agency for International Development, and the World Bank and many other organizations have been helping the Ukrainian government to privatize the public property inherited from the former Soviet Union. And the last crowning act of neocolonialism was performed in 2014 when the Ukrainian government, at the behest of the United States, named as Minister of Finance Natalie Jaresko, an American citizen that had been the governor of the European Bank of Reconstruction, and had been the chief economist of the economic division in the American Embassy in Kiev. That's the whole story for everybody that do not know the background to the roots of these conflicts, of this conflict in particular. So we say, down with NATO intervention, down with the decrepit capitalist Russian state intervention in Ukraine, revolutionary defeat of all sides, workers come to power in Ukraine and overthrow the capitalist lackey regime. Right here in the United States, This is the country that has incarcerated per capita more people in the world than any other country that exists right now. And then they got the nerve to be accusing other regimes that are opposed to the reign of anti-democratic. We are living right here in a pseudo-democratic regime, a racist regime where the levels of African American and Latino unemployed are overwhelmingly high. A country that if you go to college, you come out with so much debt that you will be trapped to the capitalists for your whole life. You enter a university institution in the United States to study some degree, and you might end up working flipping burgers in some joint, underemployed part-time, with no job security, with no benefits. That's the reality of this so-called American dream, which is an American nightmare for many African American and Latino youth in this country. Now, the U.S., while we face all these difficulties right here in the United States, they just approved an assistance military package of $800 million to the Ukraine. That's a fact of life. While here we are underemployed, we are in debt, barely people can live in this city, in this area, and the same thing goes around the United States. So we have to oppose this system. And it's not a matter of Republicans, of the Democrats. There is one party that exists in this country, and that party is called capitalism, and has two wings, one liberal, which are the Democrats, and one conservative, the Republicans. They all oppress the working class. This Sleepy Joe that is governing right now, and it's Democratic Congress, run by the Democratic Party, the oldest capitalist party in the world. That's what is the Democratic Party. Right now, they are increasing military expenditures. They are still supporting the militarization of local police. They do assist military reactionary regimes around the world. They are buddies with the crazy, absolutist, anti-woman regime of Saudi Arabia. Actually, the largest provider of weaponry to Saudi Arabia, obviously, is the United States. I could continue on and on and on, but obviously, there are time constraints right here. But right here I see some brothers and sisters from the Middle East condemning the Erdogan regime, which is a very close friend of this imperialist country, the United States. And not only of the United States, the Federal Republic of Germany sends Leopard tanks to Turkey. They are also a provider of weaponry to Turkey. So while the Turkish crackpot regime incarcerates, repress Turkish workers, it is back, supported, financed by the so-called democracies of the world. The United States, the Germany, the French imperialists, and so on. So I just want to end by saying, workers of the world, unite. There is no other chance. Down with the Democrats. Break with the Democrats. Toward a world without frontiers. Thanks.
This is internationalism. This is May Day, International Workers' Day. We're here to build solidarity with workers around the world. The workers of Puerto Rico, as a matter of fact, face privatization of their healthcare system. What happened in Puerto Rico is that U.S. unions, including the SEIU, went to Puerto Rico and met with the Democratic governor and had him work with him to privatize the healthcare system. They had a national healthcare system in Puerto Rico. So here you have U.S. unions going to Puerto Rico, privatizing the healthcare system, and some of these other companies could make money. Our next speaker is Brad Weidmeyer, who is a home care worker. And home care workers in this city and in this country do health care benefits. They provide health care, they're public workers, but they're not paid as public workers. So welcome Brad Weidmeyer.
We need more than ever a labor party in this city and in this state and in this country. Labor Party now! Labor Party now! Look what's just happened in San Francisco. I'm a home care worker, and we have to turn to the city government for our contract. And we worked our behinds off to get a good contract, to negotiate a contract with raises. But guess what? Our raises are frozen. The city has a surplus, but our raises are frozen. As home care workers, the lowest paid workforce, taking care of disabled and elderly, we are stuffed in the back of the line and our raises are frozen. This is why we need a party that represents us. We get all the care and empathy at election time and from the Board of Supervisors, but then when our raises that are in our contract are frozen because a memorandum of understanding got slipped into the contract after we were done bargaining, now our raises are frozen. But look at San Francisco. What just happened? Here we have, in this Democratic city, the poster child for the Democratic Party, we have GOP gerrymandering that's going on, where a district was punished for voting for a social democrat and chopped up, and other districts were chopped, the communities were chopped in two. So you've got a Democratic Party that's imposing GOP gerrymandering. They're imposing GOP-styled recall elections. We need to have our own Labor Party in San Francisco and beyond. And you look at what's going on in education. All of the school districts and the community college are under attack from the Democratic-mandated, GOP-run FICMAT. The Financial Crisis Management Assistant Team is based in Bakersfield, the most Republican area of California, and the Democrats leave it there on purpose because they put out false disinformation about education finances and force our community college, like in San Francisco Community College, to be destroyed from being one of the greatest community colleges in the country because of the BS and disinformation that then is picked up by the Chronicle, etc., etc. In our school districts, we're having people being fired. Fire FICMAT, not teachers. Close down FICMAT, not schools. This is what we must be doing, and no one's talking about it. FICMAT, which is sanctioned by the Democratic majority that runs this state, is destroying public education. And then you look at what the Democratic Party did at the beginning of March in their state convention. They put forward some phonies in a caucus that was dominated by charter schools to remove their opposition to vouchers and charter schools. So now the Democratic Party is supporting their billionaire donors' financial interests of ramming charter schools and destroying public education. Charter schools are child abuse. The majority of the children in these 5 to 9-year-old schools are dumped out by plan. This is child abuse. If you're a nationally known law school, okay, you could have the majority of the people that start out in your program dumped out, but not 5th graders. That's crazy. And then in Oakland right now, they're shutting down the school that is there for people who have been dumped out of the public system because of bad choices and mistakes. That's the school they're closing in Oakland. The alternative high school for people that really need the support. And the charter schools pick and choose their students. They're exclusionary. Save our public education. The only way we can do it is to get rid of the capitalist educators that are in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. We need a Labor Party now. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. You know, the workers like Brad, the home care workers, are saving people, are doing tremendous labor for seniors, for the elderly, for disabled, and yet they're paid not a real living wage in San Francisco and California. California has a $46 billion surplus. $46 billion. Why isn't that money going to the home care workers? Why isn't that money going to keep the schools open? This is what we're talking about in this state of California. It's not just Trump and the Republicans. The Democratic Party is holding this money, and they don't want to use it for public use, for public colleges, for public high schools. They're starving our public education system. Right here in San Francisco, they're trying to shut down the community college by the layoff of faculty. They're refusing to defend workers, public workers, and outsourcing jobs. So now we're going to have a song, another song, Pat Fahey. I want to thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining us on this May Day rally 2022 for internationalism, to build solidarity for workers around the world. Our fight is against the capitalists here. It's not against the Russians. It's not against the Chinese. We have to unite workers internationally. We're facing the same enemies, the billionaires who are pitting workers against workers. We need to build a workers' party that's against imperialism, that's for workers' rights, and is going to fight to defend all workers so we're fully unionized. So, brothers and sisters, solidarity forever. Let's build internationalism. Let's join the May Day March in San Francisco now. Thank you, brothers and sisters.